Shabbat Shalom. Normally, when we read the Torah publicly, Jewish law prescribes that we be meticulous. Each word must be pronounced properly, and the community must strive to hear every word clearly. Not so in this week's Parsha, Tavo. A tradition arose for the Torah reader to speed through and half-whisper the lengthy and terrifying list of curses with which the Israelites are threatened. Israel's earlier covenant with God at Mount Sinai, the giving of the Ten Commandments, was preceded by a brief, positive affirmation from the community. We will do and we will understand. Na'aseh v'nishma. But the second covenant here, described in this week's Parsha, to be made as soon as the people enter the promised land, emphasizes the negative consequences of disobedience to God, spelled out in extravagant detail. It makes for very painful reading, unless Cynthia Goldberg is reading. Moshe tells the people that once they enter the land of Israel, half of the Israelite tribes are to stand on Mount Gerizim to pronounce the blessings they'll receive for holding fast to the covenant. And half the people are to stand on Mount Ebal to proclaim the curses that will result from violating the covenant. The terrible fate that could befall the Israelites should they not remain loyal to God represents an undoing of their entire narrative. In effect, God completely rescinds previous promises made to the people. God will send the Israelites back to Egypt by a route which I told you you should not see again, and they will sell themselves back into slavery. God will cancel the promise to Abraham that he will be a father of a great nation. You will be left a scant few, it says, after having been as numerous as the stars in the sky. Other nations will not be blessed through Israel, nor look to it as a model of divine providence. Instead, Israel will be a cautionary tale, an example to other peoples of what happens when a people disobeys God. You shall be a consternation, a proverb, and a byword among all the peoples to which the Lord will drive you. Israel will lose political sovereignty, be exiled from its land, and be dispersed among other nations. In exile, it will live as a vulnerable minority in a constant state of anxiety. The life you face shall be precarious. You shall be in terror night and day with no assurance of survival. The people will fall into idolatry, thus also losing their religious identity. For the Torah, the whole purpose of Israel's existence is to follow the covenant and to live out the values imparted by Torah. Thus, if the covenant is lost, the people lose their reason for being. As Professor Bernard Levinson writes, in the absence of the national destiny provided by the covenant, historical existence has no meaning. The Torah makes clear that these curses will not be inflicted arbitrarily by a capricious God. They'll occur as a result of Israel's own actions, the people's own decision to reject goodness, to pursue the path of selfishness and ingratitude, spurning God's gifts of freedom, land, and sovereignty. Thus, by its own hand, Israel can undo its long and difficult journey to the promised land, thereby rendering its existence hollow and its future bleak. But this is actually an extraordinarily positive message. The people are not helpless victims of fate. They can make a different choice. They are free to choose a different path. And this is the message for us as well, especially ahead of Rosh Hashanah. Our destiny is in our hands. Sometimes it isn't easy to be a Jew, but if we remain loyal to Torah and hold fast to our enduring values, God's blessings will flow into our lives. As the Parsha says, Uva'u alecha kol habrachot ha'eleh. All these blessings shall come upon you and take effect, if you will but heed the word of your God. The 19th century Italian commentator Shadal explains the meaning of this verse, that the blessings shall come to you. It will be as if the blessings are pursuing you, he writes. That is, the blessings will be a natural consequence of your actions. In the same way that eating healthy food makes for a healthy body, living by good values leads to a better, worthwhile life. Live in faithfulness to the covenant, and your life cannot fail to be rich, meaningful, and full of blessing.